uh, write a yes in the chat box. Okay, thank you, Neetu. Okay, Jyoti. Great, great. Okay. So someone has started playing with the tools also. So for a better class and good class, please be attentive, right? And we'll make this session very attentive because today we are going to have an overview of this very interesting field of zoology, that is fish biology. So we will be talking about it today as well as in the upcoming sessions also, as designed by Learn to Upgrade. And the very important thing that I want to know from all of you is what is your background? Like, are you from the life science background or you are pursuing UG or PG? So you can let me know in the chat boxes so that for the upcoming sessions also I can interact with you as per your fields, right? And I can connect this field with your specific background which you all belong to. So you can write in the chat boxes what you are pursuing, like BSc, Biotech, or Life Sciences, or Masters from Zoology, specific any fields. Please let me know in the chat box, right? So that I can
Uh,
connect with you.
Ma'am, the group chat has been disabled.
Okay, let me check once. Okay, just check once. Is it available now? Okay. Okay, Archita, you're from BSc Biotechnology. Great. And other students from which field? BSc Biotech, right? BSc Zoology, Life Sciences. Okay. Microbiology, great. BSc Biotech, Geology. So connecting micro to fish biology is also a very interesting thing, huh? I will be connecting it from your field also. BSc Biotech, Geology. Okay, okay. Okay, from MSc Micro. Okay. Geology. Anisha is from nutrition field. Okay, great. So fish carries lots of nutrition also. Chemistry, zoology, genetics. Nice. Okay. So I guess most of the students are from the zoology, biotech, micro, genetics, nutrition. Hmm. Okay, okay. Very nice to know this. Okay. So my dear participants, I'm Dr. Ankita and I'm Deputy Director and Junior Scientist at Gene Labs Chris, Dehradun, and a resource person for Learn to Upgrade because this program is organized and completely planned by Learn to Upgrade, which is into this field from so many years, which is into training the students online as well as offline also into different fields. So first of all, thanks to Learn to Upgrade for giving me this opportunity again to connect with you all. So, my dear participants, today we are going to talk about a very interesting field, that is fish biology, right? Because in our day to day life, we talk about so many animals, right? Dog is your friend, cat is your friend, okay? We tame these cows and buffaloes for the milk and all, for the dairy industries, right? So, in majority of things, when we talk about the pets, the major things they come in our mind is a dog or a cat, right? Or other than the common animals which we see around it, it may be the cows or it may be the pigs or it may be the buffaloes, right? And then your insects and all, right? But fish is the thing which we see maybe in the aquarium, or even if you go a riverside or maybe a sea at the seashore, right? So it is not a thing which is very clearly visible to you, right? It is under the water, right? So it is something which you want to explore, which you feel like exploring if you are into this field or if you have the interest in this specific field. So that is why I have kept this topic, that it's exploring the underwater world, right? There are multiple species of fishes which are still unexplored, as well as there are multiple species of fishes which are explored, right? And which may have certain ecological values or economical values, or for the proper food chain, food web, and this maintenance of this nature system. These fishes, these seawater creatures are required, right? So that is what we are going to talk about today, as well as in the upcoming sessions. Today I will be only briefing you about the some of the very important aspects of the fish biology, right? But in everyday session we will be talking a lot about maybe it is the breeding, and how we there are what are the various classifications of the fishes, how they are acquired, how the seedings are done, how the fish ponds are created, right? So lots of things are there, right? And certain, and we will talk about the career opportunities also, because like you're in if because I guess all of you are Indians, right? Your Indian Veterinary Research Institute, like in Bareilly, it is there, or Mukteshwar, it is there, right? And there is a specific, department that is completely dedicated to fisheries, and lots of work is being done in the field of the fisheries, right? And even the the local people, the farmers, they're connected with these scientists who train these farmers how to make the fish ponds, how to do the seedings, how to breed the fishes, how to sell the fishes. There is a proper it's like a mela, it's like there is a huge function which is specifically dedicated to the farmers, the fish farmers. So lots of things are there, and if you want to make career in this specific field, there are lots of opportunities all over the India, and out of the country or the coastal areas also, right? So that also we will be exploring, right? Which is very important for you people, because I guess the micro students have also joined this session. So definitely you may have the interest in this specific field, right? And the geology, definitely it is the base of life science, is the base of all the technologies, right? The botany, geology, chemistry, physics, it is the base of all the technologies. If you are a biotech students, it is the link of bio and technology, right? So how you can link this geology to biotech technology, or how you can link this microbiology to the this fish biology. So we will be connecting everything in the upcoming session, so that you can be very much clear that how your field can be related to this field, and how this specific field is very important, right? Yes, Sandeep, the which we call as culture, which is basically breeding these fishes, and it can be your home ponds, or it may be the vast ponds which are mainly taken care by the villagers, or the fish farming. In a very common language you call the fish farming. So we will come to that point, right? So okay, let's proceed further to this very interesting topic, that is the fish biology, exploring the underwater world. So very first thing, uh, for the people who know as well as the people who are new to this field, basically this fish biology, right? It is one of the field of study where you study the fishes, right? And there are so many interconnected disciplines which are related with this fish biology, right? That means you, if you are a scientist, or if you are a technologist in this specific field, you have to examine the integrate anatomy which is allowing the fish to thrive underwater, how they are working, right? How they are breathing, how they are breeding, how they are, their each and every function, each and every way they survive, you have to study that, right? How they're adapting to the environment, the physiological adaptations. Because uh, you all have studied life sciences, right? And we all know, like if I ask, where did this life started, the origin of life, if we talk about from where this life on earth has started, the life on the earth is, they say it started from the oceans, from the water bodies. And the scientists, they say that okay, this the oceans or the water bodies are there when, the from where the life on the earth has started, you know And the deep sea, or you can say the hydrothermal vents are there, which are one of the origin site, you know due to the chemical energy and the compounds they provide. And many hypotheses say that life began in from the ponds, but ultimately it is the water from where the life started, right? So then many scientists also claim that, okay, if first life started in the form of the microorganisms, or maybe they lived around these water bodies and all. And then certain theories are there which are aligning with the evidences, which suggest that our most common ancestors are they lived in a very high temperature, maybe, and the hydrothermal vents of the water bodies, right? So that is there. There is a shallow pond theory. If you get time to explore, you can study about it. There is a shallow pond theory is there, right? And certain experiments are also there which are conducted to specifically prove that from where the life started, right? So, and then goes on the hypothesis, right? So if there is the origin is from this water, and these creatures which live in the water, they need to be studied. So you get a lot to know about the life, to get to know a lot about biology. You get to know a lot about our nature, right? And then goes on the the studies, they go on, then we go for the commercial things and all, right? So if we are studying this fish biology, we have to know about the fishes. We have to know about the physiological adaptations which are enabling them to survive, in certain environments, right? And we have to study about the ecological relationships which are connecting the species within this whole aquatic ecosystem. And then we will also study the evolution pathways, right? Which has shaped these fishes diversity from millions of years ago, right? And their behaviors, how they reproduce, how they feed, and what are their social interactions, right? So, and then, because one thing is there, if you are just studying it for the exploration, that is other thing. But ultimately, if you have chosen the field, geology or this field, right, where you want to make your career, then that is also very important thing, right? So the fish biology field is global. And if you have studied that, lots of medicinal values are there from the fish for the fishes. Even lots of studies are being done on the like genetic studies are done on certain fish varieties also, for treatment strategies which for the humans, like cancers. Zebrafish is one of the top on the top for the research works, right? People are opting zebra fishes for lots of studies, for the oncological studies, certain kinds of toxicological studies. And then there are variety of fishes which are there in the land, which are being studied every day in the research labs for certain studies, and on the genetic level also, right? On their genes also. So that means there is something which is still unknown to us. And if we understand that part, we have to thrive more into this particular field, right? So that is the scope of fish biology. So that is why when we say that the scope of the fish biology is global, right? That means it is not only in India, but throughout the world it is there, right? Spanning every aquatic habitat imaginable, from crushing depth of ocean trenches or to the shallow coral reefs, from pristine mountain streams, maybe it is a river system, maybe it is the frozen Arctic waters, even they can survive in the frozen Arctic waters, they can survive in the thermal hot springs, right? And animal behavior studies based on the fishes are there, very interesting, right? So, and in this specific field, you get to study about more than 34,000 described species of the fishes, as well as the new discoveries which are added regularly, right? Which make the fishes the most diverse group of vertebrates on the earth, right? So that is the fish biology, right? So it's like biology, you study the life, you study everything about the fishes, and then the question is there, how you connect it with your nature, how you connect these fishes with you, how you connect these fishes with your career, where they are going to help you, where this field is going to help you out if you want to make a career out of it, right? So that is what we need to study in this session, and what we need to understand in this session, as well as specifically with this specific field, right? So the introduction is clear to you all. Is it okay? Have you got it, the basic definition of this fish biology? Should we move forward? Okay, okay, great, great. So, on the very first day, energy is always high. पहले दिन बहुत अच्छा लगता है, energy is very high. Then when you move to the second day and the third day, then your energy gets down, right? Then you are in the online classes and you then sleep behind the screen. So maybe you are having the tea at the evening, or maybe you are moving out in the market, right? But I would always request, because if you invest money, if you are investing in the knowledge bank and investing money, try to get the best out of it, right? So if you have invested something, definitely, so make the best out of that amount, right? Then only your paid amount will be justified, right? Because I talk very clearly, because I know it's not a, all the courses are not free, but if you have paid it, let's make the best out of that, right? Then your certificates which you will be getting at the very end, right, after the assessment, it will be justified, right? And for your personal satisfaction also. Okay. And one very important and interesting thing also, that we should know that why fish biology matters, why this is important. Because if you understand the fish biology, because it's a very critical thing to say, right? If generally in a normal term, if you say, okay, I have lots of interest in fishes, I want to make a career out of it. Because if in today's world, if you say, I want to make a career in genetics, I want to make my career in the field of, virology, I want to make my career in the field of oncology, it sounds okay. It sounds very fascinating. But if you say, I want to make my career in the fish biology, I want to make my career into animal behavior, or I want to make my career into wildlife photography. So there will be some people who will question you, how will you make your career in this fish biology, and what is the requirement of studying the animal behavior? It is not the trending field. But it is absolutely wrong. These are very trending fields. The only thing which we lack is the awareness. Otherwise, if you only study humans, the whole life on the earth will be destroyed. It is nothing. We humans are not only the important species. There are so many species which are important, and because of them, we are able to survive, right? So that is why when you try to understand this fish biology, it is a very critical. It's critical for conservation and sustainable fisheries management, which is required, ecosystem health monitoring, addressing global challenges like climate change and biodiversity loss. We will study, certain fishes behave in certain ways if there is some kind of climatic change, or sometimes of earthquakes are coming. Lots of things are there, right? And these fishes serve as the vital indicators, the, if we can say, the biological indicators, right? In microbiology, or if you are well versed about it, there are certain indicators which are required to check the autoclaves, right? In the same way, these, they are also the indicators, the natural indicators of the environmental quality, right? And they're very important for maintaining the balance of aquatic food webs, the food web, the food chain that support all life on the earth. Because ultimately, water is the most important. All elements are important, but your body is made up of water, maximum water, right? Your earth is maximum covered in water, and what we are searching on the Mars is water. We are searching for the oxygen and water ultimately, right? We need the H2O, right? So that is why. And then if water is important, then definitely the creatures which live in this water, they're again important, because food web does not runs only based on humans, that we eat this plants and then we eat this chicken and then there is a food web. No, the food chain is very vast, right? It starts from insects to birds to all the kinds of scavengers, to your all the omnivorous animals, to your herbivores, and then it is completely, uh, great, we can say, the chain, right? That is kind of connected. So one thing, if there is one uh, disturbance in the equilibrium, there will be disturbance in the whole food chain, right? And because of this disturbances in the food chain and food web, right, lots of problems are there which we are facing in our daily life, right? We think that maybe it is not important, but it is important. So one thing, if it is, it is there, it is disturbed, your whole of the food web or food chain as well as your ecosystem will be disturbed, because we all are part of the nature, right? Okay, now let's move to the next. Yeah. So now coming to the evolution of the fishes from ancient origins to the diversity, right? So the story begin, from past 480 plus million years ago. So the story of fishes, it began in the Ordovician world, right? And when I say that this is a very important term, which I said here, the Ordovician period, it is the period, basically, it is the geological time, which is back uh, yearly, like if you calculate it, approximately 485 or 480 million years ago, right? So that was the time, this Ordovician time was there, the time where there were so many, diversifications of the marine lives, right? And there was the time when the first jawless vertebrates were there, right? So in this particular time frame, Earth's continents were very largely clustered together. So now, in the current, if you see the globe currently, you will see the continents are distributed, right? They're separated. But at that time, the continents were largely clustered together, and much of the landmass, much of the land area, they were like they were being the supercontinent, right? And like Gondwana and shallow seas, they were covered with, many areas. So if you have studied geography anywhere, so in geography there is a whole study of this distribution of the continents and what is Gondwana, how the shallow seas were covered. So all these things are there, right? So at that time, see, if I brief you out in the very short thing, the Ordovician period was there when the first jawless vertebrates were there, right? And it was the one of the phase where the diversification of marine life was there. Great diversification of marine life was there. Your first jawless vertebrates were also present at that time, right? And your continents, they were clustered together, right? Largely they were together. And then and many areas were there, there were shallow seas were there, like water bodies, seas were there, which were covered by many areas due to the high sea levels and all. And then this was the time it ended with the second largest mass extinction. Was extinction started, right? Many species extincted at that time in the earth history. And because rapid cooling started and glaciation started, so what happened, certain species extincted at that particular time, like 480 million years ago, right? So the marine life, the oceans were full of life, they were teeming with life. There were so many varieties of these water animals, like sponges were there, or your vertebrates were there, like jawless fishes were there, right? Like these one of the fish that is like this Arandaspis was there, which is one of the first jawless fish. Reefs were there, and multiple communities were there, right? And plants in the land at that Ordovician time, there were certain primitive plants. They started appearing on the land, right? Land arthropods started to be colonizing, right, into the continents during that time. And climate was generally warm at that time. And but what happened, the cooling started, the temperature started to get down, right? And as soon as the temperature started to get down, the this glaciation and rapid cooling started in the southern hemisphere. And then the mass extinction started, right? Avalanches, these certain kinds of, mountains and all, they were shifted. And Generally, there was one supercontinent that is known as Gondwana. But after this, what happened? This Africa, this Antarctica continent, this Australia, the South America, every continent was clustered as a supercontinent, which is known as Gondwana. So with time, this Gondwana started to break down, and these Africa, Antarctica, they got a bit separated, right? So that is known as the Ordovician period. So you should remember this period, right? Which is very important for the fish life also. Just a second. Okay. Right. So that so when we talk about the evolution of the fishes, we definitely talk about this Ordovician period, because this is the period where the story of fishes begin, right? Then comes your second very important period, that is known as your this Devonian period, right? Age of the fishes, right? So when we talk about the Devonian period, that is the age of the fishes, right? It is again the this geologic time span, which is calculated between this 419 to 359 million years ago, right? And it is also known as the Paleozoic era, right? Or age of the fishes. You call it the age of the fishes, right? And because of the diversification of the fishes, right? And this was the time when your evolution started for the terrestrial life also, like your forest, your insects, your tetrapods, and multiple types of arthropods, they start appearing on the lands, as well as under the water. There was also diversification, right? Because it was the period which saw the evolution of many types of fishes. Like the jawless fishes were already there, your armored fishes like placoderms and all were there, right? And these are the early ancestors of your bony fishes, the fishes which carry the bones and all, right? So like your these placoderms and all, they are the ancestors of these bony fishes, right? And then your trees, your plants, they begin to spread across the land, right, leading to the development of the forest, right? And four-limbed tetrapods, the first vertebrates with the four limbs, which is also known as tetrapods, they started to appear, right? They evolved from the low finned fishes only, right? So they started to make transitions on the land, right? And earliest insects, they started to be there, right? So that is why we call it the age, this period as the age of the fishes, because the fishes underwent explosive diversification, right? So this specific Devonian period, this era saw the evolution of jaws, a game changing innovation that allowed the predatory behavior and expanded dietary options dramatically. Because, jaw, why this, you know, uh, joy is very important, and how we say that predators and all uh, is thing is very important, predatory behavior is important, and dietary option you know is started to be changing, right? Because uh, there were early cartilaginous fishes like sharks and all. And see, generally in this Devonian period, it is the diversification of jawed fishes, right? Which started having the jaw, right? And uh, they were like the dominant marine predators. So in this era, the fishes came and they became the marine predators, right? Because they had the powerful jaws. They start to evolve with the powerful jaws, right, which could crush the prey, right? So why we are saying that it allowed the predatory behavior and expanded dietary options? Because definitely, see, if you do, as a human also, if your jaw is not working, you cannot chew. Maybe you sip a juice, maybe sip anything. Maybe then there will be the secondary option, your food pipe will be there inside. Otherwise you cannot eat anything because your jaws are not working. Maybe if even if somebody has no jaw, but if the jaws are there, definitely you can chew, definitely you can catch the prey, right? There can be endless options. So dietary options will change for the fishes in the context of fishes. If they have the jaws are evolving, they will be able to crush the prey, because they will be developing their powerful jaws, right? So and many jawed groups of the fishes, bony fishes, low fin fishes, they started appearing and diversifying during this time, right? So that is why we say that this era saw the evolution of the jaw, which is a game changing innovation which is allowing the predatory behavior and expanded dietary options dramatically, right? So that is why, like placoderm, that was they were the armored fish that dominated the aquatic world during the Devonian period, right? Because they had the hard bony plates covering their head and their trunk, right? But they used the bony jaw structure rather than the true teeth to shear or crush the prey, right? And other than that, many cartilaginous fishes were there, like primitive sharks, rays. They appeared and became more common during the Devonian period. They evolved from the extinct spiny sharks, right? And they're ancestors of the modern sharks and rays, right? So the Devonians saw the diversification of both ray-finned and low-finned bony fishes. All these things we will discuss in detail in the upcoming sessions: low-finned and low fin bony fishes, how they look like, what is the physiological characteristics and all we will study. But you should be knowing this, that this era we saw that there is evolution of the jaw, and because of this jaw's evolution, the food options also get got changed, and the predatory behavior also changed, right? It's like, you know, if you're all alone, you can do nothing, but if you get a team, you will get the spirit to do something. Or maybe if somebody gives you a gun and somebody gives you some, armor, arms and all, so you'll feel very strong. In the same way, as soon as the fishes got the jaws and this bony structure, and they know that okay, they can capture the prey, so their behavior changed, right? Maybe they got more aggressive, and they were, well, it's like getting armed by something which is helping them to change their dietary options, right? So that is why this is the era of the evolution of the jaws, which changed their food options also. And the seas teemed with diverse forms, from massive armored placoderms to the ancestors of modern sharks and the bony fishes, right? So, two periods are very important here. You can see the Ordovician period and the Devonian period. And so, in this, your Ordovician period, you have this jawless pioneers, and in the Devonian periods, you have the revolutionary innovations. That means in the jawless pioneers, you have like early aganatha, like jawless fishes, which dominated the, primordial waters, and using sucker-like mouth for filter feeding and scavenging, because definitely there is no jaw, they cannot chew, they cannot be there, right? So they had the sucker like mouths for the filter feeding and scavenging, right? And these armored fish, though primitive by modern standards, they established the basic vertebrate body plan, which are very important for the fishes, like for the built up, right? And in the Devonian period, the revolution was there, right? So key evolutionary breakthroughs were there. They transformed the fish biology. There were hinged jaws, which enabled efficient feeding, right? So the evolution was from the sucker-like mouth to the hinged jaws, which enabled them to have the efficient feeding and the predation. And then they had the pair fins, which provided them the precise movement and stability as well, right? So swim bladders, quick movement, it allowed the buoyancy control for the constant swimming. Then the sensory systems were there, like their lateral lines, detected water movement, pressure changes. These are the revolutions. How they are important, what are the importance, we will discuss in more detail, right, in the upcoming sessions, being this as the only introductory session, right? So how this buoyancy control is important for the constant swimming, how the sensory systems are important, the lateral lines, the vertical lines, lots of things are there in the fish biology, and which makes this fish to swim properly, right? Because based on the fishes and based on the birds, we got to have the aeroplanes and the ships and all, right? So they are one which are, the teachers, right? Which has taught us how to walk, right? How to evolve, and as a human also, right? In the field of technology also. So if you understand the complete physiology and the physics of the fish, you will understand how we have developed such kinds of fish with these ships and boats and all. So it is, it's just the idea, it is has been taken from these animals only, the water animals only, right? How they swim, how buoyancy controls are there, how the constant swimmings can be there, stability is maintained, pressure changes are there. So they are the living, we can say, the models which have helped us to move further in the technology, right? So these two things are there. Now, these evolutionary innovations didn't just create diversity, they fundamentally reshaped the aquatic ecosystems, and they set the stage for a vertebrate colonization of the land. So now what happened? This whole evolution, it it is not only focusing on the diversity, but it reshaped the aquatic ecosystem, right? And the low-finned fishes of the Devonian time, they gave rise to the first tetrapod that we discussed, the four limbs tetrapods, making the fishes the ancestors of all land-dwelling vertebrates, including human. So you can imagine that we have evolved from the fish. If I talk about the Devonian period, because the first four-limbed tetrapods were there in the Devonian period, right? The low-finned fishes, and that is why we say that the vertebrates which are on the land, including us, they are the fishes are the ancestors, the tetrapods are our ancestors, right? So you can imagine how important it is to study the fish, because you want to study the humans, right? So that is one part of this. So if you classify the fishes in many groups, right, we have this cartilage. We will study everything in detail. Today I'm just giving you an overview, right? Like there are cartilaginous fishes are there, bony fishes are there, jawless fishes are there, right? Like your these cartilaginous fishes, basically they come into the class chondri. Okay, my dear students, you have understood this part? I forget to ask. You have understood this part, the evolution of the fishes from ancient origins to diversity. Is it clear to you all? Any queries from this part? Okay. It is clear to other participants as well? Okay, fine. Thank you, Akshata, Sandeep. Okay, fine. Okay, I guess it is clear to you all. Okay, so now we are moving to the next part, that is basically the classification of the fishes, right? So, yes. So, uh, in terms of the modern fishes, right, they are classified into major groups, three major groups, right, based on their skeletal structure, their presence of the jaws, and the evolutionary relationships. So if you understand this classification, right, so we will get to know about the diversity within the fishes and the evolutionary history, like cartilaginous fishes, right? So they come under the categories of these chondric thighs, right? So this group, it has approximately 1200 species of sharks. So these sharks, rays, skates, your chimerias, these all come into the categories of the cartilaginous fishes, right? Because this is the class of the jawed fishes, right? So they may have the cartilages, or they may have this chondric thighs, right? Like, which is the skeletons, right, which is composed of the cartilages, right? So bony fishes, and they have this bone tissues in them, right? So these all the sharks or the rays, skates, and sawfish and all, they have this particular bone, these bones, right? So they have the same flexible tissues in your nose and ears, just like us. Like in our nose is made of cartilages, our ears are made of cartilages. In the same way, their skeleton system is made up of the cartilages, right? The same flexible tissues in which we have in our nose and ears, right? Rather than the bone. And they are very lightweighted structures, right? And because of this, the buoyancy and flexibility is also maintained. And how all these things are connected, that definitely we'll study further, right? So like sharks are there, streamlined predators with multiple rows of replaceable teeth. Sharks have, rays and skates are there, flattened bodies adapted for bottom dwelling lifestyles. Then your chimerias are there, right? Deep sea relatives with unique crushing tooth plates. They have this crushing tooth plates as a unique identity. Then bony fishes are there, right? Then they again come into the categories of these uh, class, second class, that is your osteichthyes, right? See, when you categorize these fishes, right? See, you can remember easily. If you are saying simply cartilaginous fishes, right? Or you are generally saying it as, chondri of class. So, they are having the cartilages, right? Bony fishes, always remember, then the bony fishes category is different, right? That is the category of ostei. That means they have this, bones, right? So that is a different category, because they have the bones, right? Because they're the diverse clade of the vertebrate animals, right? And they have this endoskeletons, which are composed of the bony tissues. This is a specific characteristic of these fishes, that they have the bony skeleton. They have the swim bladder, and they have this operculum, which covers their gills. They have neuromast for the vibrational sensations, right? So they have very excellent sight, and their hearing is so good. They have adapted it to an aquatic environment. Their hearing capability is so good, right? Their sight is very good. They have got the excellent sight. So these fishes, they possess the skeletons made up of true bones tissues. And more than 28,000 species, more than 96% of all fish species come into these categories, right? And these fishes, they possess the skeletons which are made up of the true bone tissues, typically having a swim bladder for the buoyancy control, so that they can maintain the depth without constant swimming. Like your ray fin fishes are there, like your tuna, bass, salmon, right? Low fin fishes are there, like ancient lineages, including coelacanths and lungfishes. And they occupy every aquatic habitat from shallow streams to deep ocean. They can be found everywhere, from the deep ocean to the all the shallow streams, right? So this is the second category of the fishes. And the third category is the jawless fishes, right? Which is in the category class Agnatha. That is the most primitive living fishes, which represent the ancient lineage, right, of your this specific period, that is known as the Ordovician period, right, where the jawless fishes were there, right? So the most primitive living fishes, right, which represent the ancient lineage that has survived over 480 million years with relatively little change, and only about 120 species they exist today. So you can imagine, once there were so many of these fishes, but because they are just carrying this, heritage, ancient heritage. So now, after 480 million years after, we have only 120 species which exist today as jawless fishes, because most of the fishes are cartilaginous, bony fishes, and they are having the jaws, and rest are the jawless fishes. So making them the smallest group of, but perhaps the most fascinating from an evolutionary perspective, like your lampreys, or your hagfish, or your living fossils which provide insights into the vertebrate origins. These are the ones. Eel like fishes are there, right? Or they have the sucker mouths, right? So this is the classification of the fishes. So two main groups are there, right? uh, Generally your cartilaginous and fishes and bony fishes are there, and then this third goes for the jawless fishes. Mostly your cartilaginous fishes and bony fishes, they have the jaws, right? And then just jawless fishes are the ones which are the primitive ones, the older ones, right? So, if you go for the class Agnatha, the jawless fishes, they are the ancient survivors of the bygone era. You can see the mouth. So look at this mouth. These are the suckers, because they don't have the jaw. They don't have any teeth. Anything is there. It is just, the jaw. Sorry, the mouth, which is in the sucker-like a structure, right? Which only sucks the foods.
Ma'am, I have a
Filtration.
question.
Yes. You want to say anything? Okay. So this Sagnathar, it represents the most primitive group of living vertebrates, which offers a window in the early evolution of the fishes, right? See, a very important part also I want to discuss with you all, right? When because we saying that, continuously, that the jawless fishes are, the, we can say, the proof of evolution, and they are very important for the living vertebrates. Because why we are focusing on this is because they are the first vertebrates which evolved, right? Because they are the fundamental of the study of the evolution, because they were the first vertebrates to evolve, right? And they get us to know, they made us understand the origin of the key vertebrate features, maybe the brain, the thyroid glands, right? The structures that led to the evolution of jaws in other animals. Your brain is very important, right? Thyroid glands, it is very important, right? So that is why these fishes, they gave us the evolutionary significance, that they gave us the study importance, the fundamental, the base of the evolution, right? Because they make the very initial step in the evolutionary history of all the vertebrates. So we human, how we got to know we have this parts or the organs or the systems, we have evolved from those specific vertebrates, right? And it is a very important, it is known as, the blueprint from which more complex life forms have evolved, right? So that is why we say the origin of key organs and the systems, or your thyroid gland, your nervous systems, adaptive immune system, this all has came from these jawless fishes, the agnatha, these ancient fishes, right? So if you see, your thyroid gland, if you see this lampreys, larval lampreys endostyle, filter feeding organ, it transforms into thyroid gland during the metamorphosis, revealing the evolutionary transition of this important endocrine organ from an ancestral filter feeding structure in chordates, right? Your nervous system, like if you get to study their brains, they are very simpler, they share the basic regions and developmental mechanism with other vertebrates as well, helping to trace the evolution of complex neural architectures. So if you go beyond, there is the immune system, right? They have the unique receptor system, which is very important, with part of the adaptive immune system, right? Like your immunoglobulins and all. So it shows the complex immunity, if how it evolved, right, independently, and in the early vertebrate lineages, right? So that is why when we focus on the jawless fishes, the first of own kind of evolution in the vertebrates, that is why it is very important. And certain ancient survivors are still there, and they will extend after many years again, right? So they are the living fossils which give us the proof that they are the one from where we came, right? So your lampreys, they are the masters of adaptation. They have the circular, you can see this picture, they have circular sucker like mouths which is filled with rows of sharp rasping teeth, right? So some species are parasitic, attaching to other fishes, they feed on their blood, their body fluids, using specialized tongue that act like a piston, right? And other lamprey species are non-parasitics, non-feeding at all during their adult stage, and they live only to reproduce. Hagfishes are there. They're also the bizarre deep sea scavengers. They only feed on the dead and dying animals on the ocean floor, right? So this, and they have certain defensive mechanism also to because they don't have jaw, they cannot catch the prey, right? So they have different defensive mechanism systems, right, for which can help them to run away from any of the predators. So see, there is the certain evolutions are there, and your ecological rules are there, like they have this primitive natures, they play important roles in aquatic ecosystems, right? These parasitic lampreys, they influence the fish population dynamics. Your evolutionary significances are there, right? Like I told you, development of the nervous system, sensory organs, your immune system. So all this fulfills the gap between the the evolution. Your cartilaginous fishes, you can see the pictures also, multiple, which were there like 4 million years ago, and still they are there, right? Light weighted fishes. So your ray fishes are there, your sharks are there, they have diverse body plans, they have distinctive features, they have certain ecological importance. All these things we will discuss in very detail, because if when we talk about the body plans, right, the wing like bodies or the skates, their flattened body, how they uh, uh, balance the buoyancy, how they balance the pressure, how they sense the vibration, lots of things are there, right? So that we will discuss in more detail, which will be scheduled in everyday session. So that is there. And their characteristics like gill slits are there, and swim bladders are absent in certain cartilaginous fishes. Then their dermal denticles are there, they have the jaws, they have rows of replaceable teeth, right, which continuously grow throughout the life. In human, you see, then we get the milk teeth, then they get off, then you get the new teeth, set of teeth, and then that's all. But you see, in the cartilaginous fishes, they have the replaceable teeth. They will grow throughout their life so that they can feed on, because if it's their life, right, they have to move on, and they have to eat, they have to survive. So they are made in that way. But we don't, humans don't have this continuous growing teeth throughout the life, but they have. So that is also part of the evolution, and that is also part of some important things, that maybe there are certain kinds of genes in coming future. Maybe we will be having certain kinds of polymorphisms, or maybe there will be some set of genes which need to be incorporated with the help of RDTs, right, for the humans, for the animals, or maybe for the endless researches. If you go for the ecological importance, health and balance of marine systems are there. Prey population, sick or weak individuals are removed by these sharks and all. Their presence indicates ecosystem health. Rays contribute by aerating sediments, controlling bottom dwelling invertebrate populations, or acting as a crucial ecosystem engineers. So lots of things are there which these fishes are doing for us for the water health. So if you see this gentle giant, the whale shark, uh, they represent a fascinating paradox. So the world's largest fish, reaching lengths over 40 feet and weights exceeding 20 tons, and one of the gentlest. So it has a massive size, it has a fearsome classification, and this magnificent creature is a filter feeder. It consumes on plankton, it consumes on a small fish, it consumes on the fish eggs, right? And it swims with that enormous mouth agape. Right. So the whale shark demonstrate that a nature size doesn't always correlate with aggression. It doesn't mean if you are big in size, you will be very aggressive. You may be very down to earth. You may be very calm. It's animal behavior, right? So that is also the part of the we can say the evolution or the life. Then bony fishes are there. They have the bony skeleton. They have the swim bladders, a gas-filled sac, right? The most important innovation which allows the fish to achieve the neutral buoyancy. They have the habitat diversity, like bony fishes have conquered virtually every aquatic environment. So right from the 15,000 feet elevation to ocean trenches, even depth of 27,000 feet, they are there. Even they can survive in the acidic swamps, they can survive in the alkaline lakes. So their adaptability is unmatched among the vertebrates, right? So, and they have the certain these types of these fishes, they have the primitive lungs, and some species still they functions for the respiration. So it's revolutionized energy efficiency in the aquatic life, right? And then they have also further subdivisions, like reef-filled fishes are there, right? Like major 99% of all bony fishes, they're characterized by fins supported by thin bony rays. Over 27,000 species across the hundreds of families are there, and they inhabit every aquatic ecosystem, right, as we discussed. Like it can be in the ocean trenches, it can be uh, the mountain streams, it can be in the thermal hot springs. They live into the Antarctic frozen waters, they live into the acidic swamps, they can live in the alkaline lakes. So they are the master of adaptabilities, right? And these adaptabilities again, they come they it is because how their immune system, how their bodies has built up, how their genes are built up, right? So again, a very important thing to study in the research areas, right? Then the low fin fishes are there, right? They are known as the deep sea dwellers, right? Even in the darkest of depth of sea, they survive right? And certain lungfishes are there which can breathe air and they survive drought and mud. Importance as ancestors of the land vertebrates, right? So if you talk about the economic importance of the fishes, these fishes, they constitute one of the humanity's most vital natural resource, providing food security, economic importance, and your cultural identity to billions of people worldwide. You see, if you talk in the terms of the nutrition, you see, they have these proteins, they have vitamins, they have minerals, right? They support the employment, the fishing, processing, aquaculture, right? Certain commercial products are made out of them: fish oil, your fertilizers, glue, right? Your ornamental purposes are fulfilled, your biological controls are fulfilled. It is staple food for many. Even the coastal areas people, the seafood is the staple food for them, right? And for in the medical terms, if you see, the people who have diabetes, fish is considered to be very good. It is rich of antioxidant as well. For the cancer patients, it's considered very nice. That is why the fish oil is also utilized in certain medications, right? And it is the source of employment, right? The direct employment, because the fishing industry provides jobs in catching, farming, aquaculture, selling the fishes, right? Which is the primary source of income for millions of people. Their subsidiary industries are there. So multiple things are there. So the fishes, they are one of the bread provider to many people. And the global fish industry, it encompasses capture fishes in aquaculture. It represents a massive economic force valued at over, $400 billion annually, supporting integrated supply chains for coastal villages to international markets. So you can imagine there is a huge market. We only think the fish in the water. We are unable to think that how much economically important this fish is. Global catch is there. 80 million metric tons of fishes are capture fisheries, and they provide employment. And people, like you can see, like 3.3 billion people are dependent on the fish as their primary source of animal protein. Fish farming produces over 52 million tons annually, making aquaculture the fastest growing food production sector globally, right? Multi-faceted economic contributions are there. Food security and nutrition are there. They have the rich in omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, B12, calcium, phosphorus, micronutrients, which are good for human health, right? Livelihoods, employment. If you don't eat, maybe you can have the employment in that, right? Cultural and recreational values are there, like this recreational fishing generates billions in economic activity. Tourisms are there, equipment sales are there. People like to keep fishes in the aquariums for uh, to make their places look more beautiful. And they have the international trade systems also, right? Trading it out of the country. So that is there. And if I talk about the ecological importance, then it is unmatched, to other ones, because we started our life from the fishes. So beyond their economic value, these fishes, they play absolutely irreplaceable roles in maintaining the health, stability, and functioning of the aquatic ecosystem worldwide, right? So it's the like a Nike in the aquatic food webs, right? The food web, they are the food web architects, they are the environmental indicators, very important. And lots of research is being done how these uh, uh, fishes, they can indicate certain environmental conditions. See, these fishes, they sense certain things. They can sense the climate change, they can sense the pollution, they can sense the ecosystem stress, right? Long before problems become very much obvious, right? And certain fishes, if you will uh, if you like to study, you can explore it. Certain fishes, they are linked to the, uh, these fishes, they indicate even the seismic events. Seismic events means this earthquakes, right? They are said to be linked to earthquakes and folklore and many. They can sense any kind of seismic events, right? And they detect the physical effects of earthquake even before it hits the, you know, so sorry, I guess I just disconnected in between. Is my voice audible? Am I audible? Okay, sorry. I think I got disconnected in between in the mid of the session. Okay, okay. Okay, okay, fine, fine. Yeah, I was talking about the ecological importance of the fishes. So I was talking about the earthquakes and all. So you see, if you get time, you get to study. Lots of research papers are there, right? They're available. You can go through the Google Scholars and certain Springer journals are there, right? So there has been studies, there has been the establishment of the uh, associations between the fish and earthquake centers, right? And in even in Japan is very much evolved, so they have studied a lot also. So even they have this traditional beliefs also, right? That these deep sea creatures, they tell you the whole story about the natural disasters even before they occur, right? And even the scientific studies and the marine biologists, they are emphasizing on the this specific field, right? Many of, they say that they are not able to find the concrete evidence for this, but many are able to establish this fact that okay, they have this possibility of sensing the underwater seismic shifts, right? So they say that they can sense the earthquakes, right? They can sense the seismic waves, and they may detect this physical effect of an earthquake as it happens, right? So, and it is also hypothesized that these fishes, they may be more sensitive to changes in the underwater pressure or slight vibrations caused by the general seafloor movement or volcanic activity also, but maybe not necessarily a major impending earthquakes, right? So, but the correlations are being on the part which are being established, because if you study the this animal behaviors and their uh, studies of the animals, it is said that these animals, they have heightened senses which are able to feel the primary seismic wave, right, which is known as the P waves in geology. This geography and all, they study this P waves, which is known as the primary seismic wave, right, which travels faster through the water, right, seconds before the most destructive, which is known as the secondary S waves, right? So it is like a short-term indicator. So earthquakes, they send the massive sound and pressure waves through the ocean, right? And many studies, they say that it involves the effect of seismic survey, which has been done on the fish. It suggests that these can cause behavioral changes such as fleeing behavior or altered swimming patterns are there, or a significant decline in the fish abundance in that particular area, right? So strong earthquakes, they can cause the coastal uplifts, landslides, or change in surface water levels, right? So it can cause lots of deaths of the fishes and water bodies, destruction also. But the behavior of the fishes, or maybe the water animals behavior, it can detect. But it is something which is, a bit of difficult, because definitely uh, it is unpredictable. Such incidences or such disasters are unpredictable, right? Pandemics are and unpredictable, right? So a bit of new strategies can be there, which will at least tell the behavior of the fishes, maybe in the aquariums, on the specific areas which are continuously under the monitoring. Otherwise, these animals, they have this particular, uh, respond to these P waves or acoustic signals and the pressure waves. So that is there with the animals, right? And if you have heard about the oarfish, that is doomsday fish, and they have the mythical reputation, and they're often linked to earthquakes and tsunamis in the folklore in Japan. So that means not only the food web architects, but they're also the indicators of the climate or habitat degradation. We will study everything in very much detail, right? Because it's a very interesting field. When we I personally like this field very much than environmental indicators, because the microbes, the animals, right, they behave very differently. They have some sense of all these things which we humans may not have. We may have the technology, but there is something which is inbuilt in these animals, right, which is very important and can be very helpful in the coming future, right? So they are the food web architects, they are the environmental indicators, they are the nutrient cycling, they are the ecosystem engineers, right? Because these fishes transport nutrients across the ecosystem. They are the ecosystem engineers. They, modify their habitats in ways that benefit the entire communities, right? And it is also there, one of the property, vertebrate diversity, and described species are there, right? From the earth surface to the deep down the ocean, we have variety of fishes, right? And which are helping in all the things and things for the environment, for the economy, right? For obviously for their own survival. So if I say why the fish biology matters, uh, to know about the evolution, to have the evolutionary mastery, to classification as a tool, and sustaining life on the earth. Because uh, you know uh, understanding this fish evolution, it reveals the incredible adaptability of life itself, from the jawless pioneers to cartilaginous predators to bony fishes, to dominating the modern waters. So every group represents, the evolutionary experiments, and which has succeeded brilliantly, right? Which has created the foundation of all vertebrate life. And it gives a framework for understanding the relationships, predicting characteristics, identify conservation priorities, and organizing the overwhelming diversity of the fishes. And these fishes don't merely inhabit ecosystems, and they create and maintain them. So right from the predator, prey, engineers, nutrient cyclers, they form the living foundation of the aquatic food webs, providing food and support countless other species, right? And conservation imperative. So, with over one third of fish species, they face the threats from overfishing, habitat destruction, because see, they're doing a lot for us, right? But that also we have to keep in our mind that, over we can say utilization of the natural resources, right, can be very dangerous, because overfishings are not good habitat. They led to and their habitat destruction is also bad. Climate change, we are the reasons, humans are the reasons. So it's like something, if I connect it a bit, it's like you are destroying your ancestors, and you have evolved from your ancestor, that is the fish, right? The vertebrates, which it has given the birth to us. And then after millions of years, now we are destroying, someone who was once the reason uh, that we are on the earth, right? So that also part we will be discussing, that lots of things are there. So we have to understand the fish biology in more depth, right? So that we can talk about the conservation strategies, the sustainable fisheries management, habitat restoration efforts, climate adaptation planning, right? So every species lost represents the millions of years of evolutionary history erased forever, right? So that we have to think about it. So we have to dive deeper to explore the fascinating world beneath the waves. And to get into that depth, we will be talking about all these different fields of the fish biology in every upcoming sessions to get a clear picture of why it is important, why it is required, and why we need to study all those things, right? That is one of the very essential part that we have to understand, right? So that was all about the uh, overview of the session. And okay, there's one question in the chat box. Fish can be used as ecology indicator, and how can we use river fishes in biomonitoring or riverine health? Okay, see, when we talk about using these river fishes in biomonitoring, see, it's a huge topic to be discussed, right? So I will tell you a short thing about it, but yes, we will discuss in more expanded way in the further sessions, right? Because it's itself a topic, right? So when I talk about using these particular river fishes in biomonitoring or riverine health, basically, generally what happens, these river fishes, right, because they have these behavioral, maybe they're physiological, right, and they have this community level response which integrate the complex effects of various pollutants and habitat degradation over the time. So it definitely gives us a good comprehensive assessment of the ecosystem health, right? And see, multiple methods are there which can be utilized, like your which are being practiced, even like your bioaccumulation studies are there, right? Your biomarker analysis, like in bioaccumulation studies, what is happening, because we know that fishes absorb and accumulate pollutants, right? Heavy metals, pesticides, microplastics are there, right? And in there maybe mussels, liver, gills, so toxicological studies are there, right? And so we analyze these tissues to identify. I'll actually, how we have planned this session is, it's not only about the theory. My way of teaching is, I will be teaching you the theory, but few of this session I have planned in a way that I will show you the practical demonstration from the laboratory itself, right? From my lab, I'll show you some of the demonstrations. My few of the colleagues are there where we will show you how, for example, if gills are there, dissections are there, right? Certain practicals are designed in such a way, like for example, just for example, if you want to know, right, if you want to biomonitor or if you want to see the health of any fish, right, or maybe how you want to connect it with the humans, or maybe how the heavy metals or the pesticides or the underwater table contamination is affecting us and the fishes, right, river animals. So for example, you if you want to do it practically, lots of studies are done in a way, maybe you took some of the specific species of the fishes, then you gave some specific doses of the toxicant to those specific fishes for a planned duration. As soon as the fishes start to die, we dissect them, then we segregate the organs like gills, liver, their uh, muscles, right? Then we properly extract the proteins from them. We do the certain, we take the ODs, spectrophotometrically, and we calculate the outcome studies, right? That how much toxication has been there in different organ systems. That is one way to study that how much how much and on which level of toxicant doses these particular toxicant can affect the fishes. So that is one of the practicals. I mean, many of the geology practicals or PhD theses, certain species are being given to the scholars and then they are told to study in that way, right? So these things are there, right? And which is known as the bioaccumulation studies, right? So that is there. And Then these tissues are studied, identified for the specific contaminants and their concentrations, which can also inform, the potential risk to human health via the food chain. Then biomarker analysis is there. So the researchers, they analyze various biological response in the fishes, like in molecular, cellular, and the physiological levels, right? These are known as the biomarkers, like early warning of environmental stress before more visible effect occurs, like enzymatic responses you can study, or hematological responses you can study. You can examine the fish tissues for structural damage, lesions, necrosis, and all. This genotoxicity testings are there, where these micronucleus assays are done, comet assays are done for studying the DNA damage and all, mutagenic effects are there, right? So all these methods are there which can be utilized, and multiple more of the methods are there which can be utilized for the for the health monitoring, right? Okay, Ria, can you share mail because I can, and metal contamination, 70 more knowledge. Okay, Ria, I'll share it. I'll share with you. No issues. You can mail me. I'm just typing it up. Okay, I've shared you the mail, so you can have the, if you need to discuss anything, you can talk to me, not an issue. Okay. And so this field is very important for the all the geology students, and for the micro students, for the biotech students, because see, ultimately one thing I always try to focus on is that techniques can be common. Spectrophotometry is common for the pharma people, for the geology people, for the botany people, for the biotech people, for the micro people also, right? It is the same instrument. The principle is same. The only thing that varies is the practical you are doing, right? So when you learn the technique, you know the machine, you know the method, you know how to use it, right? So you have to connect, you have to collaborate the fields. See, generally we always say that focus in one field only, be the master of that, right? Don't be running on different boats. But sometimes you have to connect the fields, because science is all about collaboration, so you have to connect with it anyhow. So if you want to study some, for example, if you want to study the fish biology, you have to know about the evolution, you have to know about the ecology, you have to know about the ancient evolution. It's not something which you can, or if you say, okay, the fish is having this is spine, or this is having this cartilage, okay, I know that. No, you have to go back to the era, and then you have to come back to the current time, and then you have to connect that, right? And then you have to connect the techniques. And when you say about giving out the solutions, so that is the collaboration. So you have to connect with all these things. That is very important, and that we will be doing in all our sessions, right? Okay, Supriya, you have one question. Salmon fish are hunt for their sperm for beauty purpose. Is salmon are going to endangered? Okay, see, uh, there is generally, when we talk about the species, right, which are endangered and all, there are so many species which are into the categories of endangered and all. But generally, currently, salmon is not the endangered one worldwide, but some of its species are facing the threat, right? It can, like, um, there is one species which is known as the this Atlantic salmon, the salmosalar. So, as per the IUCN data, it is near threatened species, right? Because its population is declining in some reasons, right? So, generally, healthy populations of the salmons, they exist, right, in Alaska, in Pacific Northwest, and all. But currently, if you see, no, the salmon is there. They are living. They are not in the endangered one. But yes, if there are other species like tuna, like bluefin tuna is there, Chinese sturgeon is there. These are some of the fishes which are endangered one. But currently, salmon is not coming under the endangered species worldwide, except your some of the species like Atlantic salmon and all, right? So people hunt, but yes, if it will go on the years, it can come into the endangered list very soon, right? So that is there. Okay. Okay, so my dear participants, let's end up our session for today. Okay, and I'll design your session for the upcoming days in a way that you can get a bit of practical knowledge also. Not every day, but in few of the sessions will show you whatever I can show you practically virtually. Like, because some practicals are very it's a long day practicals, but which I can design for you in a very short way in the demo way. I'll try to showcase you so that you can learn virtually also, right? And the rest of the things theoretically we will definitely try to learn, right? And which will give you a good a hands up amount of knowledge in this particular field, right? So thank you so much, and we'll meet in the next session definitely. Have a very good evening, and take care of yourself. Good night.